Show postgame report. The Jets get their first win of the season, 30-21 over the New England Patriots. Along with Ken Stabler and Kevin Kiley, this is Bob Neal, and this is not Ken and Kevin here. These fellas a little younger and better looking. Andre Tippett, the five-time All-Pro linebacker for the New England Patriots and the all-time sack leader, and Browning Nagel with the Jets, who had such an excellent game tonight. Browning, we're going to look at a couple of your touchdown passes. First of all, you opened up the season really well with an excellent game personally, then ran into some problems in the past 3 games. What was the difference in your performance specifically tonight?
Well, I think my performance was a lot more consistent. I didn't try and gamble too much. I did one time, and I learned my lesson, got picked off. But the main thing was staying within the offense, ball control offense. We were able to utilize 13 or 16 play drive in the first and second half, and that was the key.
Let's have a look at your 2 TDs. First of all, I'll have you describe them. Let's take a look at the first touchdown pass you threw tonight.
Well, this is one to Terrence Mathis, and we saw the blitz coming, and he came out quick, and he made a great play and a great move right here. I didn't know what happened. I was on my back there, but that was a great play.
And here's the second one.
Well, the second one here, we had Rob Moore with bump and run coverage, and I just laid it up. He's a big, strong guy, and as you see, he can fight him off, and it's that easy.
Rob Moore had 6 catches, 58 yards, and 1 touchdown tonight. And Andre Tippett, I know being 0-4 now with the Patriots and losing this game tonight, how are you holding together as a football team? What's the thinking? What's being said on the sidelines?
Well, I think the biggest thing we have to do is stay together, because it would be easy to start falling apart, start finger pointing. The thing that I stress with everybody, and most of the coaches are saying, hey, look, we got to hang in there. We're still early in the season. Let's not panic and lose our composure. We still got a lot of good football to play ahead of us. We just got to, keep it together. We're still a young team, and the big thing is just keeping it all together, because, it's going to happen for us sooner or later.
Browning, playoffs last year, fast start this year, 5-0 preseason. You feel a little heat to get this team where it wanted to go? Feel a little pressure as to winning the quarterback job?
Well, the biggest thing coming out was we had the great preseason, and that was misleading when we had a big letdown in Atlanta. It just took the wind right out of us, and then we just were playing tense. And today we let it all hang out, and really the line did a great job. Of course, I don't believe I got sacked at all today, and the defense rose to the occasion. So, now I think we've got the ball rolling. We've got the first one under our belt, and we'll just take it from here and try and get better.
Your development personally, how's the system and getting used to the system and knowing the personnel, how's that come along for you?
Well, each play, each day, and each week, I continue to progress with more experience. And today there were some situations that maybe a week ago I wouldn't have been able to handle. Wouldn't have maybe picked up that blitz and thrown it to Terrence Mathis. But it's a slow process, but it's an exciting one.
Andre, I know you looked at this rookie quarterback on film, and I know you guys had a plan going against the Jets. What specifically did you see about Browning Nagel that either was a positive or a negative where you were concerned?
Well, we were hoping to shake him up a little bit. Being a young quarterback and not having a whole lot of NFL experience, we figured by throwing a lot of different looks at him and confusing him out there that we would cause some problems. But he hung in there pretty good. He didn't play like a rookie today. He played a lot more like a veteran. And all we can do is take our hat off to him and wish him good luck. And we'll see him in a couple of weeks.
You're a veteran in New England. The situation in New England with the stadium, the lease, all the talk about the ownership, the Garen Vera situation. How do you deal with that in the locker room? Coach Mack is an enthusiastic guy and helped last year in terms of keeping the team together. Has that worn off, and what do you do for leadership now?
Well, like I said, the thing is we got to stay together. That's going to be the big thing this week.
How do you do that?
Talking. We can't let guys get away from us. We got to keep the camaraderie going. We got to we got to talk about things. We can't just say, oh, had you guys did this or had you guys did that, things would have been differently. We're not going to let anybody do any finger pointing. It would be easy to fall into that trap, and we're not going to let that happen. The thing is, we got to, stress that togetherness. Like I said, it's still early. We got about 12 more games to play, and if we lose it now, it's going to be a real long season. And I think me as a veteran and a long-time player of the New England Patriots, I'm going to have to do more, I think, to make sure that we keep it together.
Andre Tippett, thanks for joining us after that tough loss for you. We appreciate you coming up here on the set. Browning Nagel, these guys are cheering you already, and you were giving them a little wave. Why don't you wave once again before we go?
All right. Thanks a lot, fans. You're the best.
We're going to go to Ernie Johnson now. I don't know if you guys even heard this, but the Phoenix Cardinals came from behind and beat the Washington Redskins out in Phoenix. Ernie Johnson in Atlanta. Ernie, you have all the details on that and some other highlights.
Yeah, Bob, the Redskins look like anything but the reigning Super Bowl champs today in the second half at Phoenix. They had defensive breakdowns. They had critical turnovers. As a result, 27-24, Phoenix over Washington. We go to Sun Devil Stadium. Joe Bugle's guys down 17-love in the third. Chris Chandler, under tremendous pressure, just kind of heaves this thing, but Martin Mayhew is on Ricky Prohl, and he gets a handful of the fabric of our lives here, and that's going to be pass interference on Martin Mayhew. In fact, on consecutive plays, gets him down to the 8, sets up the touchdown that made it 17-6. Fourth period, there's Robert Massey picking off Rippon. He did that twice in the fourth for touchdowns to cut the gap to 24-20. And then Phoenix with a great drive to win this thing. Chris Chandler, almost a Linda Blair thing, gets his head ripped almost all the way around. Throws complete to Ernie Jones, tack the face mask penalty on there. You got a big gain. 5 plays later, Chandler, Randall Hill, 17 yards to the 34. And then it's Chandler hooking up with Larry Centers. Third-year guy gets his first NFL touchdown, and it is a dandy. Gets around those Redskins and gets in there for a 27-24 advantage. That is the final score as Phoenix upsets Washington. And for Joe Bugle, how sweet it is.
Oh, gosh, I tell you what, that's the greatest scene I've ever seen in the locker room, guys. 47 guys hugging, squeezing, crying. We need this in the worst way. And the way we did it, I can't say it's a great victory. Great's not the word. I think it may be super, super.
First win of the season for Joe Bugle and the Phoenix Cardinals. Now, in the NFC West, the Rams have struggled. Jim Everett hasn't been doing much until today. 20 out of 24 he hit, and as a result, they're right in there with the San Francisco 49ers. Again, of course, without Joe Montana. Steve Young in there. Intercepted by Robert Bailey. It's a 10-10 game in the fourth at this point, and now it is 17-10, Rams leading, bidding for the major upset. Young would have none of that. One of the best rushers in the league, averaging more than 8 yards a carry. This one's going 39 yards. Nobody can stop him. Look at Robert Bailey, the guy who ran the interception back. Cannot drag him down. Young is in there. 1:50 to play, 24-17 Niners. Jim Everett enjoying his finest day of the season. And he's got Flipper Anderson in his sights in the back of the end zone. We're tied at 24. San Francisco drives it down, and with 5 seconds left, Mike Kofer. Nothing to it. 27-24. The Niners, in a scare at the stick, beat the Rams by 3. It was the Saints and the Lions at the Silverdome today. Wayne Fontes, guys, really did nothing offensively aside from this. 3-0 game New Orleans in the second period. Rodney Peete, Brett Perryman, 7-3 Detroit with the lead. Barry Sanders, again, nothing much on the ground, only 36 yards. Never did get this handoff from Rodney Peete. Frank Warren recovers for New Orleans. Be happy, Jim, your guys are about to put this thing away. Vaughn Dunbar with his first NFL touchdown. He's a rookie. He's played well. 10-7 at that point. New Orleans wins it over Wayne Fontes and the Lions 13-7. The reigning Central Division champs of the NFC are now 1-4. The Packers and the Falcons at the Georgia Dome. Sterling Sharp getting Dion's autograph. Jesse Tuggle makes sure that Brett Favre starts slowly. Gets the INT right here, and the Falcons turn it into points. Chris Miller and the NFC's leading receiver going into this thing, Mike Pritchard, who had 26 receptions. Right at the goal line, Pritchard gets in there. Birds on top, 7-0. Fourth period, 17-10.
Locker room, he's bigger than the Super Bowl win when he was coaching at Washington. But the question to me, Kevin, and I know you follow the Redskins very closely, is this a bigger thing about positive for Phoenix, or are the Redskins in trouble?
They're in trouble. They're in trouble because Joe Gibbs' brilliance has always been he can avoid controversy. But in recent weeks in Washington, the population, the fans have been all over Mark Rippon. In this game, the Redskins had a 17-0 lead. He threw 2 interceptions for touchdowns. 2 years ago, before the Super Bowl year, he had a real problem fumbling the ball. They got all over him. It never got better. They finally had to pull him out of the games because he had a loss of confidence. Bob, that could happen again. If the quarterback goes down in this offense, they've got a problem.
Yeah, and Monday Night Football is coming up with Dallas and Washington. They're alone is unbeaten there in the NFC East, and we thought, and it was a 3-way race with Dallas and Philadelphia, I should say, and Washington. What do you think about it?
Well, I agree with Kevin wholeheartedly. I was a part of trying to repeat as a champion, and people load up for you, and you have to expect the same type of career years out of your skilled people, out of your wide receivers, out of Rippon, out of your running backs, and people load up for you and they get ready for you. I agree with Kevin. I think they're in a little bit of trouble. Other side of the ball for Phoenix, it's immeasurable what it does for that team. It lets them know that they can compete on a level with the world champion, and it gives them a great deal of confidence.
Well, I think the play of the day had to be Sterling Sharp asking Deion Sanders for an autograph. Right. A receiver getting a defensive back's autograph in Atlanta. That one did surprise me, and I thought I had seen it all. We'll be back here with more of the Holiday Inn Stadium Show postgame report right after this.
The Holiday Inn Stadium Show is brought to you by Holiday Inn. Stay with someone you know. Call 1-800-HOLIDAY or your travel agent for reservations. And by Carrier. We make the world's most energy-efficient furnace. To learn about saving energy and money, call your Carrier dealer. We're the inside guys.
My last business trip was
of nowhere.
The most unusual.
The middle of nowhere.
Every day, 2 million travelers set out to do business.
Last year I traveled 65 days.
Who would know better what they...
At last.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was the 21st come-from-behind touchdown drive late in the game by John Elway in his career.
I think that's what it is. It seems like he's had about 55 or 60 of them, but yeah, he was on again today. This was John Elway and Marty Schottenheimer, Chapter 10. Elway leading 8-1, and it looked like Schottenheimer would get even today, but Dan Reeves was the guy who was hot because the Broncos did not look good in the first half. Look at Dave Craig, 50 yards to Willie Davis. He lands right on Tyrone Braxton. That's a touchdown, 7-0. Now look at Braxton. Look at the hit he takes here. He tries to make a tackle. Fred Jones nails him. Braxton was down for a while, but not out. He did return to the game. 19-6 was the count. 5 minutes to play, and John Elway goes to work. First to Mark Jackson. 19-13. KC getting a little nervous. And then it's John Elway to Vance Johnson with under a minute to play. 19-19. All they need is the PAT. They get it. Barely. Yeah. That one kissed the upright and went through for Treadwell. 20-19. Denver is 4-1 on top of the AFC West. Miami and Buffalo at Rich Stadium. An intense AFC East duel. Second period. Marino wants to throw to Mark Clayton. You'll see him jump, but you'll also see Keith Jackson take this thing and head for home. Gets in there with the dive, 10-3, fish on top. Big day for Mark Clayton, caught 4 balls, giving him 511 in his career, passing Nat Moore for the Dolphins' all-time record. Bobby Humphrey didn't do much on the ground for Don Shula today, but did catch 6 balls for 72 yards and this touchdown. 24-10 Miami, making a mockery of this thing at Rich Stadium. And Lewis Oliver puts the exclamation point on it. 3 interceptions on the day. He takes Kelly's pass here, and we are talking 103 yards. Kelly, the only guy with a shot, can't get him. Little tightrope action. Oliver going 103, tying Vincie Glenn's NFL record. 31-10 at that point. 37-10. Miami is unbeaten, 4-0. Buffalo is now 4-1. The Bears and the Vikings at the Metrodome. Chicago sitting pretty, up 3-0 first period. Minnesota's Roger Craig. Does he get in? Yeah, he gets in, but hold everything. Holding call. Take it away. Same drive. Rich Gannon to the corner, but there is Donnell Walford. Read that perfectly, stops the drive. Let's go to the third period. 13-0 Bears, and Jim Harbaugh sees the wide open spaces on that Minnesota front, and there he goes with the quarterback draw. 20-0 as we go to the fourth period. That's when things get a little wacky, folks. Todd Scott, who had 3 interceptions last week. Harbaugh had audible, called his own play there. Scott loved it. Needs to work on the spike. Looked like he took aim at the photographer here. Anyway, it's back 20-7. It was 20-14 as you see Mike Ditka's displeasure with Mr. Harbaugh. Game-winning drive here. Rich Gannon to Roger Craig, a 22-yard pickup. And then it's Terry Allen, the NFC leader in yards from scrimmage, right at that Bear defense. Tough run by 21, down to the 7. They'll keep it on the ground. Roger Craig again. 5 yards. And it's Craig, the veteran, right into the teeth of that Bears defense. Up and over with the game winner. Best comeback in Minnesota history. 21-20, they beat the Bears. They are 4-1. And afterwards, Mike Ditka had a message for Jim Harbaugh.
We just dug ourselves a big hole. Now we'll find out if we got enough character in this football team to get out of the hole. That's all. But I'm not I would say this honestly in front of, if the situation arises again, there will be changes made, and they'll be definite and they'll be permanent. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to put 47 guys' careers in the hand of somebody who thinks he knows more than I know. That's just the way I feel.
I don't have an opinion on what, if he's trying to inspire me or what.
Does it inspire you? I mean,
I'm inspired to come back and play hard the next time. Well, meantime, for the Vikings, life is good. They are 4-1. They got next week off. What could be better? We go back to Bob.
Thanks, Ernie. Well, you heard Mike Ditka, who's suffering from some severe stress tonight, along with Mike Harbaugh, a man who must be enjoying this win, is joining us on the telephone from Minnesota. Dennis Green is the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. And Dennis, first of all, thank you for joining us here tonight. Tell us what the secret to beating the Bears was today from the Viking side of the ball.
Well, I think that it was kind of a close ball.
On customer satisfaction, at Patterson Auto Body, we have factory-certified technicians capable of performing the highest quality work and replacement glass for any make or model vehicle. We'll return your car to showroom condition, and Patterson Auto Body will help you through the headaches. We offer direct insurance billing, free estimates, written guarantees, and convenient hours. Patterson Auto Body, dedicated to preserving your automotive investment.
Back to the Meadowlands, the Holiday Inn Stadium Show postgame report, along with Kevin Kiley, Kenny Stabler. This is Bob Neal. We've been joined by two adversaries here on our set. On the left side of your screen, of course, is James Hasty, who had an interception tonight, and Hugh Millen, the quarterback for the New England Patriots. Hugh, first of all, I said to you when you got up here, you're probably going to be spending some time with all the sacks tonight in the whirlpool. How sore are you right now?
Well, I'm a little sore, but I think that's par for the course. As Kenny would say, you're going to have some sore bruises on Monday.
We're going to take a look at a piece of video here, and James is going to like seeing this. You're not going to like seeing it so much, and it is the tough hit you took and the interception.
Yeah. Well, this is, I can't be so concerned about a grounding penalty that I don't make sure that the ball's good and out of bounds. I mean, if it takes getting it to the stands, then that's just a foolish play on my part, and there's really no excuse.
James, you picked the ball off here as we take a look at it. Talk about the interception.
Just noticed it was a naked boot pass, and I was just trying to make sure I was staying in the throwing lane, and I was able to make a play.
Nice job getting your feet in bounds. Looked like a wide out there.
Oh, wide out days came back to help me out that time.
A lot of drills paid off for that, huh? Ken Stabler?
Hugh, how do you feel about the direction the ball club is going and the development that Coach McPherson has established?
Well, we're discouraged right now. We came off a 1-15 season 2 years ago and improved to 6-10, and we felt coming into the season that we could take the next step. We haven't played thus far in a way that would demonstrate that we're capable of doing that. But I think for us, this seems like an eternity, 4 weeks, but we've just got to maintain our confidence, and we have a very young ball club, and the strong survive.
James, did you coming into the game watching those guys? I know you have to respect Fryar deep and things like that, but they do a lot of underneath, a lot of short stuff. You guys mix it up, little man, little zone, little combination.
Yeah, I think that was the main emphasis today on trying to just maintain and contain Irving and try to get after the quarterback a little bit. We've had some key players hurt on our D-line, and the guys that came in today just did an excellent job in getting after the quarterback.
The situation in New England, we've talked about it all night, about the money problems. It's all public, and about the possibility that there may be a new stadium and how it has affected the program. I don't know that people realize that your team, up until just recently, has been carrying just 3 wide receivers. Yeah. How do you practice the passing game? How do you get it down to the point where you feel confident you can come into a stadium and get the ball in the end zone?
Well, it was a problem from a conditioning standpoint more than anything, because we never have an offensive set where we have more than 3 wide receivers. So it's fine, but you find in practice the guys will get tired. So we added a 4th receiver, and I think we're okay unless we have an injury. And a year ago we had to go a couple games with some tight ends running some wide receiver routes, so it may come to that.
Doesn't it disrupt the offense, though, when you come into a game, when you practice with people over and over? I mean, there's a certain amount of routes a guy can run in practice.
Yeah, well, I think that they're getting in good shape, certainly, because, of course, they're running our plays, and then they have to run the look squad as well. But, it hasn't been a problem because they've been able to stay healthy.
James, much has been made. You mentioned Dennis Byrd is out, Jeff Lageman is out. The coaching staff tells us that Jeff Lageman was the emotional leader of the team. Who picked up the slack tonight? Who's picked up the slack since Jeff has gone out? Who are becoming leaders, or is there a void?
I don't think it's a void. I think there's some key guys that have came in and stepped up. Some guys have made some changes. Mark Gunn has made some changes. Marvin Washington got after the quarterback really well tonight. And I think it's just a mixture of good defensive play calling today that helped us out.
Well, Hugh Millen and James Hasty, thank both of you for joining us up here. I know the second half, I know you're disappointed in the loss, but heck of a second half for you. 3 touchdown passes, a lot of yardage yourself.
Well, we got to play the complete game, and I made a couple of big mistakes, but, you know, just come back next week.
Congratulations on the victory, James, and thanks both of you for joining us here. We're going to go up to the booth now. Irving Fryar had a career night tonight with 8 catches and just an outstanding game for the New England Patriots. And we're going up to Gary Bender and Pat Hayden. And, gentlemen, not only is this guy catching the ball well, but he was using that veteran experience, was he not?
Well, as Pat would say, the Laurence Olivier of the Patriots. He has not stopped laughing yet, Bob. We're going to show you the play again. I hope Hugh Millen will stay around because we want to get his version of what happened. We're going to go back, a 38-yard touchdown pass. That time, it made it a very close game, 23-14.
Now, here he comes. Fryar's got the limp going. But when you come out limping and you're going to go deep, you can't smile. That always gives it away, the smile. Now, does this man look like he's got a limp? I mean, wow. He just goes right by. It was well set up, a perfectly designed play. He catches the ball for the touchdown, and he goes up the stands and gives it to his sister. But, you know, if you is listening to us, I have to know you. I've got to know you. Was that clearly it was a design play, but as you see from everybody there. But did you tell Irving to smile there as he broke the huddle as well?
Well, we didn't, in our nomenclature of the 2-minute hurry-up offense, we didn't have a way to communicate what we wanted on that in terms of having him come down, hook, and then go on a pump-type move. So I just went over and told him run a pump, and it worked.
None of the acting along with it, Hugh? I mean, there wasn't any of that built in at all because you ought to continue that. I'm sure a lot of teams throughout the country may adopt that play.
Well, I think next week we'll have a way to communicate that without having to run over and whisper it in his ear.
Okay, well, that was fun. That was one of the highlights. I tell you, I don't think Pat is ever going to forget the play.
No, I think it was the highlight of the year so far for me for New England. But again, for you, Millen, it was a wonderful evening. A guy that they learned a lot. I think he grew a lot in this job. And I think if you're looking for leadership, I think the Patriots found a leader tonight.
Very good. Let's go back to Bob Neal.
Thank you, Gary and Pat. And we're going to go to Ernie Johnson in our studios in Atlanta right after this timeout. How about the Indianapolis and Tampa Bay game? And San Diego finally gets a win.
Crushes us, and we're still in there licking our wounds right now, is that anytime you lose at home, it's a double hit because it's in front of your fans. You hate to hear those few, and there are only 1 or 2 that, you know, just rail on you. The rest of them are still with you 100%. But that just pierces. You don't have to have 1 or 2 of those. And then you got to look at yourself and say, boy, if we'd have caught that one pass or hadn't made that one mistake. This is a very unforgiving football business, and the football is unforgiving every Sunday. Every team comes in here. I wish we could dislike the Colts, or I wish they had a great record or something, you know, that you can hang your hat on. But this time it was just a good, solid football team that came in and whipped us.
You've been giving a lot of motivational speeches, not only to the community, but also to your team. You stormed off the field on Thursday. You think maybe you have to replan your speeches at halftime? Third quarter, you guys have been terrible.
I can't figure out our third quarter. I don't know what to do. We've certainly got to do something, replan the speeches or shut up, don't give them any speeches. But our third quarters have just been awful. I mean, there's no other way to do it. We took the win in the fourth quarter here, and thinking back on it, maybe we should have just taken at least the win, you know, but I'm not sure the win was that big a factor today because it was a perfect north and south win. Third quarters, though, can decide ball games. George Allen used to say the most important part of the game is the first drive in offense, first drive on defense of the third quarter. I think he's right.
All right, the Bucs are 3-2. Remember a couple of Monday nights ago, the Giants beat the Bears. Big win for Ray Handley. Got his first of the year. Looked like they were on to something. Today they go and play the Raiders on the road. Art Shell's guys were winless, but they pick up that first W. Big reason, Todd Marinovich. Up top to Tim Brown, who takes it away from Mark Collins. This will be a 68-yard scoring play to knot the score at 10 apiece. Jeff Jager later kicked a 54-yarder to win it midway through the fourth quarter. And the Raiders pick up that first win, 13-10 over the Giants. And Seattle and San Diego, our final card of the night. Don't you hate it when you go to the ballpark and, by golly, there's a skunk under your seat? My goodness, Stan Humphries. Going up top to Anthony Miller, 67 yards. 7-0, San Diego looking for that first win for Bobby Ross. The skunk must have left. The fans are back. Kelly Stauffer, hammered by Leslie O'Neal. Hurt his shoulder here. He had to leave the game. Dan McGuire came on, and In total, they had 70 yards of passing, did Seattle. They lose it 17-6. On this Sunday, number 5, day for the record books at a few locations. Let's check out Louis Oliver. Remember the 103-yard return? Yeah, he tied Vincey Glenn for the longest in NFL history. Kevin Butler passed Walter Payton for the Bears' all-time scoring record. Mark Clayton, with 4 catches today, passed Nat Moore for the reception record for the Dolphins. And Anthony Carter and Jerry Rice ran their consecutive games with a reception streak to 100 each. They joined 7 other players who have had streaks of at least that far. We had 30-21, the Jets over the Patriots tonight. Next week, we have got the Saints at home against the Rams, and I can only assume, Bob, that the Snake will once again be in charge of curfew, which means no curfew at all.
You know what the Snake says about that? New Orleans is a curfew-free zone. So it's not even an issue when you go to New Orleans. But how about those Indianapolis-Tampa Bay? It really surprised me that the Indianapolis defense is coming along as quickly as it is.
Yeah, they are coming along. Marshall Brothers, he's had a knack for going in and doing that with ball clubs, and then getting Jeff George back helps him an awful lot. They lacked the offensive punch that they've needed, and with Coriat and Ekman, those people, they're an up-and-coming young team.
Well, gentlemen, it's time for the Who's Hot and Who's Cold, brought to you by Carrier, and the young left-hander here with Who's Hot.
Yeah,
Bryson.
Yeah, Andre Rison makes the hot gang here for the 2nd week in a row. You see his numbers there. Anthony Miller. Great day on the receiving end. And Steve Young kind of reminds me of myself when I was running around out there in Oakland with 240 yards. Louis Oliver with his record-tying return against Buffalo. Robert Massey, big day. And Todd Scott, very important interception in Minnesota's big win today.
And I suppose I'm doing who's cold again, right?
Cold guy.
I'll tell you who's cold. I'm cold. It's about 40 degrees out here. Lions offense. Remember Barry Sanders? 42 yards rushing today. The Redskins. And this will turn Joe Gibbs' hair to color your hair, Kenny. 13 penalties for 120 yards today. And, whoa, they'll be practicing all day tomorrow. Seahawks offense, 0 touchdowns last 10 quarters. You can't win like that, Bob.
Well, Ken Stabler is, a key member of our Saturday production meetings when we plan this show that, obviously, to all our viewers is very well planned. But, Snake, you weren't here yesterday. You said you were in Tuscaloosa.
And I was not breaking curfew.
You were not? You were in Tuscaloosa. You were with the alma mater.
Yep, there's
the Grand Poobah.
There's my team right there. That's Marissa. She's 3. Alexa, she's 5, and my wife Rose, and we were at the homecoming at the University of Alabama and had a wonderful weekend.
There's the homecoming queen, escorted by Kenny Stabler. You look like you're still just a college kid, you know.
Young at heart.
With gray hair, college kid.
Well, just because there's a little snow on the roof doesn't mean there's a fire in the furnace.
Might mention. Well, we know about the fire in the furnace. That's not something you have to tell us. We do want to say this, though. You were honored once again in that Team of the Century. You and Joe Namath voted by the Alabama fans as the quarterbacks of the century at Alabama.
Yeah, they released a lot of votes in the state, and Joe and I tied for that position. But anytime you're honored by the university, I mean, it's meant so much to me to be a part of that tradition there that it really humbles me.
Kevin, next week, Alabama's going to be playing Tulane at New Orleans at the Superdome. This guy's getting us tickets sidelined to watch Alabama with the Snake.
We get to sit with the Snake?
With the Snake.
Not close.
But an Alabama game at the Superdome on Saturday. Oh, it sounds like a rough weekend coming up in New Orleans. I'm getting a lot of rest this week. Dick McPherson, who we saw before the game with a smile, is now licking his wounds, knows that his team has to play the 49ers next week in New England.
The Holiday Inn Stadium Show is brought to you by Holiday Inn. Stay with someone you know. Call 1-800-HOLIDAY or your travel agent for reservations. And by Carrier. We make the world's most energy-efficient furnace. To learn about saving energy and money, call your Carrier dealer. We're the inside guys.